So you would be more or less I don't know, I don't want to come up with a bunch of terms or anything, but you'd more or less be a purist. You've been using your talent in sand reading to look more at the culture.
Right, the culture and the earth changes.
What kinds of things do you see happening? What kinds of things do you not mind sharing with us?
As far as the earth changes go, even Edgar Casey says there's going to be a lot of changes in the Midwest. I think this year this next year, there'll be some earth changes around Cairo, Illinois. Little tremors, enough to wake people up and say, hey, this is not really a safe place. There must be something going on within the earth itself. Are we in balance with the earth, or are we fighting it? Are we having open pit copper mines and coal mines disturbing everything? Or are we trying to be in harmony with the earth? I have seen an Indian make rain when there were no clouds.
You stood in that rain? Is that what you're telling me?
I got very wet.
You got very wet, and there were no clouds.
There were no clouds.
Okay, now, was this in a place where it could be? I hate to do this.
This is up.
They put it in such secular terms. But were there any weathermen there that you know, said,
what's
hey, what's
a weatherman? I mean, they're 85% right 10% of the time.
I agree. We're not going to get into that. This channel is we have a very good weatherman on this channel, and he's right almost all the time.
Almost.
How's that for a disclaimer? But you actually stood there and you got wet, and there were no. And did someone bring this rain about? Is that what you're suggesting?
Someone had caused something to happen to make the rain.
You said earlier that you hadn't had a chance to give too much thought, really, to what I spoke to you about over the telephone about the future and all that sort of thing. But you thought some things might come to you tonight, maybe here. Anything come to you yet?
Well, I do feel that with that, you're realizing that you are an emissary of the new age. You would not be putting this type of program over. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because this is something that is so necessary for the people to know. It's really terribly, terribly important, because the separations of the people have begun, and people must awake. As far as the structural changes that I feel are coming about, I feel that as they come about, they're going to come about suddenly, that the increase in the energy pattern that is surrounding the planet at this time will push up all of the natural things that are disastrous, like where there is snow, there's going to be lots of snow. Where there is rain, there is going to be flooding. Everything is going to be at a stress point more and more and more until the energies break, and then the Earth may move so that it will start to spin properly again, and we will find some of our land beneath the sea and some of our land that's under the sea, which should be fresh and ready for cultivation. This is really the way the earth renews itself. Whether or not that renewal will be, since we've buried things we shouldn't in the ocean, is a question that only time can answer. But no matter what happens, I'm sure that on our weary old planet, there will be plenty of us to propagate new lives and new turns. Aquarius is coming in, which promises the 1,000 years of unceasing peace. Things will get worse before they get better, but they are going to get better. We do have a good year for us because Jupiter is now in Aquarius. This is going to bring to the fore things connected with religion, because Aquarius has to do with religion, and already we're seeing the struggle between the religions. We're going to see the new frontier of space with more attention, because the more we get into Aquarius, the more we get into air. We have just left Pisces, where the Navy was our supreme thing. Now the Air Force, and now Star Wars, and we are into the air for everything. Anything that has to do with air or psychic communication or things that are airy and light are the things that are going to become important now. Radio communication, and I predict that this year they will finally come through with communications from outer space. They have been sashaying around this subject for so long, and I predict that there will be an occurrence that will cause them no longer to be able to sashay, but it will be spoken. And this is It's now. This is the time.
Wow, this, you obviously have given this some thought. Maybe you meant that you hadn't thought specifically about what this show or what, because these are very...
I let the Spirit speak through me.
Spirit ran into a commercial break. Before we get into the Aquarius age of Aquarius, we're going to do this. We're going to take a breakdown here from, let's see, Biosystems and Summit Place. We'll be right back after this message.
Have you ever felt like nothing separates you from the next person, or the next person, or the next? You need direction, a new career. Biosystems Institute has a future for you in the world of medicine, an ever-changing profession. Learn to be a patient care assistant, or a respiratory therapist, or technician. With your education from Biosystems Institute, the opportunities are unlimited. Help others and help yourself. Call Biosystems Institute at 244-9301. That's 244-9301.
Looks like a nice vacation, doesn't it? Well, the truth is, for these people, this is no vacation. They're at Summit Place because their lives have been torn apart by alcohol, pills, or chemicals. At Summit Place, caring counselors help them put their lives and their families back together. The results can last a lifetime. Take the first step. Call Summit Place at 890-9090. That's 890-9090. At Summit Place, your new life is only a step away.
We're back with the show talking about the future. We just had a very interesting conversation with Vivian Smith, who's with us, the crystal ball gazer, Terry Wofford, who is a tarot card reader. I don't know if I'm going to cause the camera's fits here. Shalimar, who is a clairvoyant channel, and John Michael, who is a Native American sand reader. We were talking just now about some changes coming about, more or less about changes coming to the Earth. We're talking serious changes. We're not talking about, Paul Newman growing a mustache or anything here. We're talking about cataclysmic events. And one of the words that keeps coming up whenever I do any readings or whenever I talk to anybody is Atlantis. Atlantis. We keep talking, or maybe it isn't the word, but in one way or another, we keep talking about a lost land that may be discovered. Terry, do you have any feelings like that? So, I mean, specifically about Atlantis.
I think I would like to ask Shalimar.
That's all right. That's all right. If she can handle it, I can. Microphone. Don't ask me.
It's a point of origin. It's where a lot of actual documented fact has come back to us through research in ancient civilizations and things of this nature that point to a pre-origin, in other words, before Egypt, before Babylon, before any of these. And it is believed that these are the places, Atlantis, Lemuria, or Mu, where we gained our knowledge and our heritage. And some of these things that people explain away as the psychic or metaphysics, to them was an actual reality, a science, and they made it their life.
Wow. Wow. You anything to add to that, John Michael?
That pretty much did.
How about you, Vivian? You did bring up Atlantis. Atlantis is something that you were at least alluding to.
Yes, I do believe that Atlantis will be coming up. I have been told that they are breaking the seismograph needles now on the volcanic action that is underneath the Pacific, which means that the continent on the other side is the one that is breaking loose, and that would be most certainly Atlantis.
Terry, I want to take advantage of the fact that you have your cards here. And I should probably ask Vivian the same thing. She has her crystal ball here. Is there something we can do while maybe I converse here with our other guests? Is there, if I give you a name, say the mayor of Mesa's name or something like that, does he have to be present? I don't know. No, don't laugh at me. I don't know. Is it someone that has to be present?
No, they don't have to be present. However,
how would you like to do it? Yeah.
Well, I like to respect people's privacy. And so I would rather that you didn't name somebody and then I start talking about them without their permission or their cooperation. But if you want to know something about you,
I was wondering when it would get to that. Yeah, if we start on this, I'll be handling rattlesnakes on this show in a couple of weeks. That would be fine. If you could, and maybe you guys could, I don't know, whose camera could break away, and maybe kind of, if that's not an interference with your space,
no.
to show how she's going about this. Just flash to it once in a while to keep it real and all that sort of thing. Now, Vivian, what about you? Is there something you can do with your crystal ball? Or would that be, do you need a more private setting than this? And would this be...
No, not really. If you want to ask me a question, I'll see if I can get you an answer. I never really know what I'm going to get until I have it.
The questions that come to me are the ones that you see in most of the publications that ask these things. There are questions about, pardon me, I didn't hand you the microphone. Did you pick that up? Yeah. Okay. The questions that come to me are the ones that are about all the main topics that you seem to see coming up in the media. The ones that I want to ask are questions about President Reagan, questions about the economy, questions about possibility of peace, questions about Jane Fonda and Robert Redford, questions about perhaps sports figures here in the Valley and nationally. Anything there that you want to...
I'd like to mention something to you.
Okay.
I used to go into the restaurant across the street, and the gal serving me used to come there with the dishes rattling. She was sure that I could look in and see everything she'd ever done that was wrong since birth. And you do have privacy, but when you sit down in front of a reader for a reading, you are saying to the forces, it is all right, you may see. You only see very, very, through a very heavy veil if you invade without the person's solicitation that you do so. And this is the reason why I hesitate to give anything about anyone except to you or somebody present who says, this is all right with me if you look into my Akashic records and see what it is I want to know, if you can give me an answer.
So are you telling me then that if I were to do a specific topic, say something dry, like water issues?
That's different.
It is?
Different. Yes.
You could do that?
Yes.
You could do that. What'll it be? What's a good subject? Water issues, economy?
How about world peace?
World peace?
Yeah.
World peace? Can you give us some time?
That's not personal, and there's no reason why. There's no ethical reason why I could not look in and see if we're going to have world peace.
Okay, can we give you a few moments there, or is that something that you can do here with all the bright lights on you and everything?
Well, I do feel that we will drift into a situation of peace eventually.
You've already had some...
But it will get worse before it gets better. The great prophecies read that men will be so busy fighting the elements, there will be no time for him to fight between nations. But this is only after heavy confrontation before that period of time. But there will be 1,000 years of unceasing peace in the age of Aquarius. But up until that time, we are now entering the time of trial, this 5 years between now and 1990. And the things have been slow to happen. They've been predicted, and they haven't happened. And one of the reasons for that is our New Age people who are concentrating on saving lives, who are concentrating on holding this planet in the condition that it's in so that we can go on like this instead of losing 2/3 of the world's population so that we can start over again and see if we can do a better job.
Wow. So that is a subject that you've already had. You didn't need to stop and tune out. We didn't need to turn the lights down low or anything. You just let it go.
It comes.
It comes. You know, I wanted to talk too about, just for a minute, about this New Age thing, because I found you all located in the New Age, Omega New Age directory. Okay, and briefly, I think people are probably starting to get the hang of what this New Age thing is, but can someone describe it a little better about what we talk about, New Age, the New Age?
An expanded state of awareness, something that goes, I believe, beyond a physical appearance, something that kind of transcends the five senses as we are aware of it, an awareness of the whole, something that is conscious of, I think, total humanity, actually, and the constructive steps that we can take as sensitive people to help each other, not only in a physical or economical or political sense, but to be aware of ourselves first as a unit or an offshoot or a portion of the God source, and then to spread that awareness to other people. And if you have that awareness, really there's very little misconception that you encounter that you can't understand.
Well, that's a very articulate description of the New Age. I thought you were ready for that question. Terry, where do we go from here? For you to do a reading of me, and I think we could do one if we do. Can we take a few minutes and do it? Would that be all right?
Sure.
Okay. We're going to do a tarot card reading. Terry Wofford is going to do a tarot card reading of yours truly.
This is going to be very brief.
Very brief.
I want you to ask me questions.
Will you would any of you give me bad news if you saw it in my future?
There's no such thing as bad news.
Okay, let's say
First
that
of
you
all.
saw that I was going to fall down and break a leg and maybe hurt myself.
Then I
something.
would say there's an indication here that you need to be very careful going down some stairs.
Okay.
Watch your step.
Wow. Okay. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
And you guys?
And the negative things that happen are not really negative. If they're in the future, we can avoid them. If they've happened already, they happen to us for us to learn from. It's like an oyster. An oyster's a crusty, nasty little thing on the outside. But if you take the time to open the shell, there's a beautiful pearl inside. And this is what negative things are. They're there for our benefit. That's right.
Okay. Maybe we'll take. We've got another commercial coming up. Maybe we'll take that break and you and I can get started on some of this. Would that be okay? Okay. Let's. I guess that's going to be okay. We're going to take. Which camera are we on? We're going to take a moment out now for a message from CompuShare and from Carpet Seconds. We'll be right back after this. Fascinating.
CompuShare has a personal message about computers.
Test driving a Macintosh may be the best thing that's happened in personal computers. The Macintosh is so user-friendly that in less time than it takes to get it home, you can learn to use it. And now with no obligation, you can take a Macintosh home overnight. Now that's what we at CompuShare call being friendly to the user. Come see us at CompuShare and test drive a Macintosh.
CompuShare, 4 Valley locations.
This is Caveman Max. He is the most savage, primitive price slasher this side of Mesopotamia. Since ancient times, man has had carpet in his cave, and Caveman Max was always there, chewing prices to the bone on mountains of carpet.
I sell carpet half price.
So don't be dragged by the hair into a dark cave.
You like my new fake dirt?
We're back. We're back with a group of very, very interesting people. I'm not used to using this microphone. Bear with me. Let me take a moment out and talk about next week's show. Next week's show is a good program for anybody who got a pet for Christmas, anyone who owns a pet, anyone who's ever thought their pet might be trying to tell them something. We will have 2 guests and some visuals. We'll have some animals here, and perhaps some videotapes and that sort of thing. One will be Kay Cox, who is commonly known as the pet counselor. She specializes in behavior modification and analysis of animals, pet owner matching. She has an animal talent agency. She runs a pet registry, which is where pets get tattooed to help guard against theft of your loved ones. And she has various services for domestic and exotic pets. Kay Cox, the pet counselor. And next week we'll also have Andy Looper, who's the owner of the Greater Phoenix Dog Training Academy, which promotes a humane and psychological approach to chewing, digging, housebreaking, biting, barking, and other such pet problems that I think we're all having at one time or another if we have pets, and which advocates that teaching the owner of the pet is as important as teaching the pet itself. So that's next week's show. It's on pets. Tell your friends, tell your pets. Get your favorite dog and cat, curl up in front of the TV set and watch the show next week, 8 o'clock. So now we are back with Terry Wofford at this moment, who I asked a very specific question because she said she wanted a specific question for the tarot cards. I asked her if she saw me staying in this position here in the valley in the future. Okay. I don't remember if I structured it any more specifically than that.
I think that was about the question,
okay.
Yes. Well, the cards are telling me that you love it here. Mm-hmm. However, you're a person that likes change. Mm-hmm. And you're a strong person. You control your destiny. And even though you're going to be here for a while, you will eventually decide to move. I would say 3 or 4 years, and then you will be ready to move. There seem to be some things from your past, too, that you're not letting go of, that you're still hanging on to, that you still can be sad or depressed about, things that you need to let go of because they're over. When you leave, you will be dealing with some of this. And I think also your family and those around you will not be that happy here.
Wow.
The summers will bother them.
Wow. Now, if I'm going to have to look back at the tape on this one and sit down and analyze like everybody does, I imagine. Now, if I gave you more questions, and we're running out of time, so I probably won't, if that's okay. But if I gave you more questions, would you get more cards out? Is that it? Or would you still work off these same cards?
No, I would spread some more cards out. And this is a very brief kind of layout for the program.
I understand
yes.
that.
But it gives you some idea of what can come through from the cards.
That's fascinating. That's very fascinating. I think you've touched on some things there that are, I'm not going to get into, but touched on some things there.
There were some more personal things that I'm not going to get into on the air either. But later, after the program.
I thank you for that. We're not going to get into those on the air, I assure you that. I started to throw out subjects about, what did I ask about? Was it peace? I asked about peace. I want to ask about water. We're in Arizona, where water's a big deal. Water's a big deal. I want to ask about anything, the economy, the incredible boom we're seeing here in this area. And President Reagan, you've already kind of convinced me that you don't want to talk about specific people without their approval, even if they're rich and famous.
That's true. They're still people.
They're still people. Even the rich and famous are still people. I want to ask about those things: economy, water, environment. Anything else on the environment? Anything about politics in general? Anything there that you guys that you would like to share with me?
Numerically, when you get into the numbers, the science of numbers, it is a 5-year, which means there's going to be an awful lot of erratic energy. 1 minute you're going to think something from what you are presented with from the media. Things are going to be going very smoothly as far as diplomatic relations, as far as what you're being given by the media. The next minute you're going to hear almost the exact opposite, because 5 is change. It's a roller coaster. It's up 1 minute, down the next. 5 also deals with the media, which brings me into agreement with what Vivian said. There is no longer going to be the ability to, I think, kind of snow people, as we feel has been done in the past. I think a lot of the truth will come out. 5 is a physical number, which means we're all going to be concerned with the physical aspects of what's going on. The Earth changes, our own being, our own safety, our own evolution, because it does concentrate very heavily on the physical aspect of things.
Wow. It's something, you triggered something else there. I mean, did anybody here have any inkling of some things that might happen in 1984 to them personally or to some friends, maybe,
Yes.
things that came to be?
Yes. Absolutely. 1984, again, is a 4 foundation year. For me personally, it was going to be a great deal of confusion in my personal life, which kind of came down into something that would solidify. 4 is a cube, it's foundation. Even the word cube vibrates to a number 4 when you do it numerically. So for me, it was a foundation year, and sure enough, I got married and settled down, and it was in a higher level. The 22 is a master number, which invites spiritual energy. So it was a spiritual union also. Really came.
So you guys haven't been married that long. You haven't been married long enough to have your first fight, right, John Michael? I asked about that. Okay. Terry, you gave me an indication that you'd had something happen that you maybe had foreseen.
It wasn't on a personal level, but I predicted an earthquake that was printed in the Omega. It was off of the island of Honshu in Japan, and it happened. It was a very large earthquake.
I remember that.
It was the 1st of January. I didn't expect it quite that fast.
Okay, let's see, I just got the message that we're going to run phone numbers or addresses or whatever it is we've got listed for our guests. In case you would like to contact them, I think they'd be more than willing to take some calls or phone or letters or whatever after the holidays, I'm sure. Everybody, even our guests have to celebrate once in a while. How about you, Vivian? Anything 1984 that came to be? Anything recently? Now, you had mentioned that you were normally contacted by somebody for your predictions.
Omega.
You normally are. So this is a normal thing for someone to say it's the end of the year, come in and tell me what's going to happen next year?
The Omega Directory, which is a newspaper. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the newspaper that lists what the psychics are doing and who's available and all of the phone numbers. It has the whole rundown. It's really the only thing that we have to make contact with other people of like thought. As far as my predictions that came true in '84, Again, I predicted the harsh weather and that the weather would get worse and that the winter would come early and be very severe. And it looks like I was certainly right because we really didn't have a fall. We went from summer to winter.
Really did. Really did. What, I talked to you, I asked you to talk about peace. Now, you brought in some things about the environment there, too. Now, is the economy, is that too nebulous a subject for me to ask you about? What do you see about the
economy? The
economy?
will be very, very good this year. It will continue to climb, but with Jupiter in there, you got to be careful because you see, Jupiter promises more than it delivers. It's like
So is this show?
you
Just kidding, folks. No, no.
you buy a refrigerator and then you lose your job, and how are you going to make the payments?
What do you mean Jupiter in there? Jupiter's going to be in alignment this year? That's going to be...
Jupiter is going to be in Aquarius this year. Jupiter was in Capricorn last year, and that rather held its activities down. But it's going to be magnanimous this year. People are going to be in the mood to spend. People are going to be in the mood for things to get better. And apparently they will, but not all will be as well as it appears to be. So do be a little bit cautious with your investments and with your money, because all that glitters won't be golden.
Now she tells me.
Yeah. Now she tells me, telling us all that after Christmas. This isn't the time. Are you saying then Jupiter's going to put people in a good mood?
Yes, Jupiter is the great benefic.
A little bit naive mood, but-
Yes, it's in Aquarius. Aquarius controls rebellion and religion, intelligence. There'll be advances in things that are connected with technical things. Anything of the air. Again, it will have more to do with things that are brought in through ideas as against things that are put up in structures.
Wow, fascinating. Fascinating. We're running a little short on time. I want to throw out a couple subjects I want everybody to jump in and answer if they can. It would seem like you would all be people who rely very heavily on your feelings, on being in touch with your body, with your mind. I don't know, probably your mind more than your body.
A little bit.
But does that mean that things like tobacco or alcohol, if you don't mind answering this question, or say even mild pharmaceuticals, drugs of that sort, are off limits to people who must be? I mean, if you have if you have a headache, will you take an asprin? Do you feel guilty about smoking a cigar once in a while? Do you feel guilty about smoking a cigar once in a while?
You know,
I feel guilty, but I sure wouldn't feel very good.
things like alcohol and other drugs, they open the door. People take them, they get high, they get glimpses of things, they open the door, but believe me, it's a false door.
Wow. Now, what about that though? Do they interfere with? I guess I'm asking. Do they interfere with your
Yes.
talents?
They're very limiting.
Yes, they're very limiting.
If you are coming off, if you had a New Year's Eve hangover, for instance, and someone said, "Okay, it's January 1st. I want you to read for me," or "I want you to do some sand reading."
Well, it's a depressant. If you're specifically, alcohol is going to depress you, and I think you have to maintain a specific level of energy to do this type of thing. If you're hungover, to the nth degree, and somebody hits you with, "What am I going to be doing next Thursday?" You're going to go, "Ugh." You can't get there. You can't get into that particular
You agree,
state.
John?
Right.
We're how many minutes? Got a couple of minutes left. One of the other things I was going to ask you was how your own moods affect you. I mean, let's say that you had a bad day. I mean, we all have bad days. Even I imagine everybody here has bad days.
It's a challenge.
And I come along and I say, "Hi, I'm getting ready to make some kind of career move or get divorced, or married, or something like that," and you say, "Oh boy, I've got another one of these people to deal with today." Is that going to be something that's going to affect you?
I think that's one of our personal challenges as counselors. We are here for a purpose. I think one of the main purposes is through our own experience to help other people realize certain things. And it's our challenge to overcome that, put it aside, and go ahead and try to help these people.
Vivian, I got a minute left. Do you agree?
I agree.
Your own moods are just something you have to learn to control?
Yes, you do. You have to
Terry?
work with them.
I found when I was going through a